Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Knick family. Welcome to Lunchtime Live, the recap and reaction show. The Knicks got back into their winning ways last night. The Knicks had lost 4 straight, as we all know. Those who live and die with the Knicks, we knew that. The Clippers, though, last night's loss was just their second loss in 9 games, right? So they were hot, and the Knicks were not. Coming into last night's game, the Knicks, in my opinion, was back to themselves in terms of, their offense with, body movement, ball movement, OG and Bridges hitting shots. But they were better and different in some ways, right? Deuce starting, Cat getting more shots. The defense was more active. Brunson, less shots, 12 shots on 75% efficiency. That's not sustainable. But the process he showed last night is rotation back to 9, Yabu and Kolik taking Hart and Shamit's role until they get back. And let's keep it like that. Less young guys. You can't bring everybody along. 6 plays in double figures. We'll get into it. My name is Stephanie, a.k.a. Queen, as you know, and I'm joined by Geoff Klafter from the Happily Ever Klafter Daily Sports Blog. He's also a resident panelist on our weekly show. Geoff, thoughts on last night's performance before we really get into it? Lady and the Chef in the house. Appreciate you, sis. Freezy in the house. Jerrell, David Smith, first one. We missed you when Cat had that 6-1 game, though. David Smith. I'm playing with you, though. Welcome.
Whew. What a relief. It's good to be on the winning side again. It's been 4 games is far too long between wins. Boy, that was a much needed performance, and whatever they said in that players only meeting prior to the game, it obviously flipped the switch. They were much more crisp last night. The effort and energy was much better. Even in the first half when we weren't winning, I thought that the level of effort was there. And then the defense in the fourth quarter is where I want to focus first. I thought they did an outstanding job hounding Kawhi Leonard in particular. Always, every time he caught it, there were 2 people quick to the ball, and then we rotated relatively well. I mean, we did give up some threes eventually, but I thought, we made the conscious choice that Leonard's not going to beat us and Harden's not going to beat us. And in that fourth quarter, we really did a good job of closing off those 2 spigots, and you live with whatever else comes with that, right? And I thought OG was particularly good. And I'm going to say something I never thought I would say, because I haven't been a fan of it, but the 2 big lineup without Jalen Brunson was outstanding. Mm-hmm. And that kind of stood out to me, that lineup that had Mitch and Towns in there in that fourth quarter was really good. For the first time really that I've ever seen, I really liked how it looked. And I don't know if that's because Brunson wasn't out there with them or just, or just happened to be that way, but definitely liked what I saw from a process overall defensively. I still do have an overlying issue, though. I'm glad that we won and we shared the ball and the shot distribution was really, really good. But what I'm concerned about is why our 2 best players can't seem to perform well at the same time. It's like, and where's the synergy with those 2 guys together on the court? I mean, I don't think that there's any reason why Brunson and Towns shouldn't be able to play well together. But the fact of the matter is there is not a chemistry between those 2 guys at all. And I think for this team to realize its peak, to hit its ceiling, I think we really need to find that. Now, I will say this. I thought Brown did a good job of staggering the 2, and so they each got their times to shine. And Towns, especially in the fourth quarter, really took over the game, which was awesome to see from him because he has that capability and it's really been absent lately. So I was really stoked to see that. But long term, I think for this Knicks team to go where we want them to go, we need to figure out a way to get more synergy between our two best players. And even last night when I thought we played very well, I didn't think I didn't see that. Maybe you saw it differently.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to think about that one a little bit, because if Brunson and Cat are not playing well together, but when Brunson is in the game, the offense is running through him, and it's still good because you're getting what you need from Bridges and OG and the rest of whoever's in there with him. Then when Cat is in, again, the synergy is not in with, great with him and Brunson, but you're still getting synergy with the rest of the players. Maybe it doesn't hurt us that much. I don't know. I have to think about it. And ideally, you would want, to be able to play off of those two guys playing together. I have to think about it some more. Freezy's in the chat, so he can give us his thoughts on that. Jerrell is in the chat. Lady and the Chef is in the chat. We already know what David Smith is going to say, but the rest of us can let us know what they think about that. Listen, I thought Cat was big last night, but the fourth quarter, particularly, that's not what I'm encouraged by. I'm encouraged by the fact that he was involved and he got 18 shots. So whatever team meeting they had, whatever tweaking the coaches said they did to put them in the best place to win, maybe they came to the realization that we're going to need Cat to be a bit more involved. Now, Cat has not been great, even when he has gotten the ball. But I just think it's like you just know he has a track record, and you just give him those shots. You give him those opportunities, and know that over the course of a season, he's going to be fine, right? But he's been hit or miss. And it's not just hit or miss, like when he doesn't get the shots, he's terrible. When he does get this, no, it hasn't been that. There's just sometimes I just feel Karl-Anthony Towns is just not strong enough with the ball for me. His movements are not definitive. Like, I can't get the Raggedy Andy's. Karl-Anthony Towns is the most frustrating thing for me to watch. Any little tap anywhere on his body, the ball is flying out. Now, he does don't get me wrong, he does get fouled at times, and a lot, and it's not called. I get that. But there are times where I feel like he's barely touched and the ball is in the second row. Barely touched, the ball is rolling into the tunnel. I just feel like I need him to be strong with the ball all the time. That being said, we know who he is. Offensively, he's one of the best to ever do it. And I think that should be reflected in his opportunities and his touches. And I just need him to be better with the ball when he does. When he does get it. 11 rebounds last night, 7 assists. He's a really good hub. And you saw that last night. Obviously it's easier to be a hub when you're getting the player movement that we got, last night. So yeah, I was super encouraged by how he was used and his activity and the number of shots that he got.
Yeah, I think that somebody once said that you don't have to shoot well to play well. And I thought that was the case for Towns last night. Really good process on his part. The rebounding was on point. It was there. The playmaking was spectacular, in my opinion. But it was all the way across the board. I think we had 5 different players record at least 4 assists, which is rare for any team. I think, to have 31 assists on 47 made field goals is it shows that everybody was focused and locked in and moving, and and we were doing the things that we hadn't been doing the 3 previous games, getting the ball across half court quickly, cutting and getting open. You saw OG Anunoby, I think, was getting inside a lot. It wasn't just his 3-point shot. He was getting into the paint a lot. And I'm wondering if maybe some of that had to do with Deuce McBride being in the starting lineup, because McBride has been shooting the ball so well this year, and he was 4 of 11 from deep again last night, which is still really good. And when you have that threat out there, I think that allows for more open lanes to cut and do some other things. Whereas when it's Mitch and Cat in that starting lineup, you don't necessarily see that as much. So I think that kind of got us off on the right foot, if you will. And then, once that flywheel gets going, sometimes it's difficult to stop. And that was the case last night. And kudos to the Knicks, because the Clippers, in their they were, as you said, they won 7 of 8, but not just that, they had allowed 110 points or less in all of those 7 victories. The one exception was getting boat raced against the Celtics the other night in Boston. But other than that, they've really been doing a good job of limiting teams. And so for us to go out and have a game where we score 123 against a top-notch, high-caliber defense, I think that speaks volumes to what this team is capable of. And I think it's encouraging as well, because, again, I don't think that was our best game last night. We played well, we shot the ball well, but I think that there's still meat on the bone to be had, and I think that there's still a lot of room for growth with this team, and I think that could be a little bit scary for other teams if we can realize that potential and keep this going, and not make it a one-off like it potentially could be. I think this upcoming West Coast swing is going to tell us a lot about this team.
True. But I think we know a lot about this team. Like, for me, I just feel like last night was more about getting back to who we were, and the 4-game skid was just like, who the hell are these players? Because the offense didn't look, no player ball movement. They're not a great defensive team, but they've been better than that 4-game, streak. So I just felt last night was, getting back to who we were. Like, even we were down in the first half, but it looked like the Knicks. It looked like the team, that we've seen for the first, 36 games or so, with the ball and body movement and effort on the defensive end, even if they weren't, perfect. And some things Mike Brown did rotation wise, tightening that shit up, tightening it up. 9 players, that's it. And Mitchell Robinson played 25 minutes last night. Starting Deuce, which I thought was good. Whatever you want to do when Hart comes back, that's on you. But if he's not there, to me, it's Deuce over Mitch. And, just being definitive about the rotation, Kolek and Yabu. Yabu hasn't played well, and you could go back and forth between, what's your philosophy and a little bit of minutes you get. You got to be great. Or if you bring a guy in to play a major role, you gift him those minutes and hope that over time he plays into it. And at some point, you do have to cut it off. I thought Yabu responded, last night. We got a super chat from who is PMC White 2, way to bounce back. I love the ball movement. The 2-man game with Kolek and Cat is major. Yes, we've talked about that. And what I told you, Yabu will be fine. Now, are they showcasing him? Or have they come to the realization that we just have to go with as much experience as we can? We don't know. Hart and Shaman will be back. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Kolek and Yabu. I would think I would go with Hart and Kolek. Let's, and keep it at 9. Let's see what Mike Brown does. Anywhere, where do you want to go next, Geoff?
But credit to Yabusele. I thought his aggressiveness was completely different than it has been all season. I mean, he went inside and charged like a rhino. He missed the dunk, I know, but I love the assertiveness that he had when he was in the game. He only played like 13 minutes, but he had 8 points. He made his threes when he had them, but he was just active and aggressive. Trying to do his best in the short time that he was out there. So I actually thought it was Yabu's best performance of the season. So I was, it's kind of funny that it might be his like last glimpse if Hart and Shaman are back, but I actually was encouraged by what I saw from him. So I think that's a good sign that he, he's not completely broken as a player. And I think it just may be that he's not in the proper he's not maybe not the proper fit for this particular team. It may be one of those cases, but I don't know if it's going to be as easy to get off of him as we think, because he does have a player option for next year. So he's not like, whoever gets him has to want to keep him beyond this season. And so you may have to attach an asset to him if you want it, like a second round pick, to get rid of him. And I don't know if the Knicks are going to want to do that, dependent obviously on who else we got back in the deal. I think would make that decision for us. But it was nice to see him play better in the minutes that he was allotted. And look, the Knicks needed this kind of performance. We didn't recognize the team from the past 3 games. The Knicks were so back last night, as my nephews and my sons like to say. They really looked like the team that we've become accustomed to, and hopefully that 3-game stretch, for whatever reason, was just an aberration and we're back to the norm.
The way Yabu played last night, he looked like somebody we could use. The way he played last night, he got open threes, he hit them. He took it to the rim on multiple occasions. And Mike Brown said in his press conference, that's what he's looking with. That big body, we're looking for him to rebound, and we're looking for him to get into the paint with his aggressiveness and throw it down. You know what I mean? And that's what we saw from him last night. So if that's going to be Yabu going forward, we can use that. Now, if that's just a one-off, that's different. There have been reports that Denver would be interested in him because it was between the Knicks and Denver. And it came down to the wire, and he chose the Knicks. So they may still be interested in him, particularly with the Joker. He's not going to replace the Joker, don't get me wrong, but just in terms of needing front court help. But for me, if what we saw last night from Yabu, I would love a Yabu coming off the bench, Hart or McBride, whatever he decides. Mitch, Clarkson. That's a strong bench. But let's see. To your point, they could just be showcasing him. I'm not adding an asset to get off of him. I know we got 569 second rounders. But that's not something I would do. Anyway, it's so many ways to go. Let's talk about Brunson. 9 of 12 last night, 4 of 5 from 3, 4 of 4 from the field, 7 assists, 3 rebounds. He shot 75% overall, 80% from 3. That's not sustainable, like I said in the intro, and 12 shots is not sustainable either for the Knicks to be successful. But his process is, like he said, that they were, doubling him, and he just got off the ball. They had 2 on the ball on me for the majority of the game, so I just tried to attack it and get off of it quick to see if we can have an advantage. And that's what at least I've talked about, and I believe Geoff has talked about as well. It doesn't matter if you pass first. It doesn't matter if you're a shoot first point guard. It's your decision making that matters, because either one is going to open up things for you and your teammates. And are you processing the game enough or well enough to take advantage of it? And I thought last night he did. I thought his process was pretty good last night. Obviously he can't just keep your process good. The number of shots is going to depend on what the other team is, how the other team is playing you, and what your reads are, right? Just thoughts on Brunson last night.
Well, I think that sometimes it shows that if you're willing to make the initial pass, the quality of your shot can increase exponentially, right? I think that one of the things that Philly and Detroit did very well is they hounded the snot out of Brunson. And then we didn't do a good job when we got into those 4-on-3 situations and scenarios. And that's something that Josh Hart is really good at, by the way, is when it gets down, he's the outlet, and then he can kind of create with the 4-on-3 and punish teams for doing that. That seems to be one of his one of the clubs in his bag, if you will. So I think that last night he was willing to give up the ball, and when you're willing to give up the ball, you get it back in better places to score. And so I think he got easier looks last night than he did a lot of the time. And so I agree with you. 12 shots is not the right amount on a typical night for him. I mean, he maximized it, and we did fine today, but I think that, again, I would like to see it where, and it's tough to do on a night-to-night basis, but I think he and Towns should both be getting between 18 and 20 shots a night, and then everybody else, Bridges, OG, whoever else, they need to, whatever, fill in the gaps of whatever is going on that night. To me, I think you want to talk about a sustainable formula. To me, that's what our offense would look like at its peak. Kudos to him for recognizing there was a problem and trying to do something different. And he, the offense clicked last night, and he played his part. He played his role as 7 assists again, really good playmaking. And when he had his opportunities, he knocked them down. And that's if you can get 26 points on 12 shots, that's amazing. Like that's just a terrific, one-off performance. Yes, but we not expect him to shoot 75%, but we can expect him to shoot better than 50% with better than 40% from 3, and still have a lot of those nights without necessarily taking up, a 25 shot, volume shot performance. So I think it's a good primer, and it's potential, and it's where do we go to from there is the question.
So Mike Brown talked about shot distribution versus ball movement, and he's not keen on shot distribution. He said, this was his quote, shot distribution, and shout out to Poston and Toston, who does a really good job of breaking down these press conferences into sound bites. I take a look at that article, pretty much every game, afterwards. So shout out to them. He said shot distribution, no, body and ball movement. I'm more apt for body and ball movement because shot distribution is going to vary, right? Depending on how teams are playing you, depending on what's available. And he talked about his time with Steph. And he said, there would be times he would just have Steph Curry, of course. There would be times, not me, his time with Steph Curry. There would be times when he would have 5 shots in the first half, and then 12 or 15 in the second. But over the course of a season, pretty much, he would have the most shots on average in a game. Kevin Durant would have the second most shots. Klay Thompson would have the third most shots. So in other words, let the game dictate it, but it tends to fall that way over the course of a season anyway. And I agree, even with this team, let the defense, let the flow of the game kind of dictate the shots. Like, you don't want to force it, but over the course of a season, if we're playing the right way, it would probably be Brunson, Cat, and then whoever else comes after that, whether that's Mikal Bridges or whether that's OG. But to your point, something has been going on in this first half of the season that even over the course of the 37 games, I have to actually look at the field goal attempts. It might be breaking that way, but to the eye test, it doesn't look that way.
Well, Towns is shooting 2 less shots per game. So over his career average and over compared to last year, 2 fewer looks per game.
Players, Geoff, like OG and Mikal Bridges are taking more shots than they did last year, right? So somebody's his shots are going to go down. Brunson's aren't, because he has the ball and could dictate it. But go ahead.
Well, but I think that's an issue that I have with Mike Brown. I think we need to do a better job of getting Towns more shots, not reducing his shot diet, and I think it's affected his gameplay. So I don't feel the need. I mean, if OG's in his zone or whatever, then I don't have a problem with him taking a bunch of shots. But I don't. To me, I don't want a game plan to get OG Anunoby shots or Mikal Bridges for that matter compared to Karl-Anthony Towns, because I think Towns is a superior offensive player and is a 3-level scorer in a way that neither one of those two guys are. And so I think that if you're sacrificing Towns shots to get Bridges and Anunoby more shots, that seems, at least to me, to be counterintuitive.
But I don't think that's what's happening, Geoff. Like I don't. OG and Bridges are getting their shots within the flow of the game, particularly Bridges. I don't think they're game planning to get OG shots. I just think when the ball moves and he's open, he takes the shot, or he attacks the closeout, or he's getting points in transition. I don't see them featuring Bridges and OG. That's not what I'm seeing on the court. Remember, they're playing a different style now. So it's more about reading the defense, player movement, ball movement. Whoever gets the best shot, just move it into whoever gets the best shot. Obviously, because Brunson has the ball in his hands, he's going to dial his number up a bit more than usual, a bit more than some fans would like. I don't have a problem with it, because if you're looking at Luka and you're looking at SGA and you're looking at all these other players, Brunson is not playing any differently than any of these other on-ball players in terms of shot attempts per game. However, I digress. Cat, the question is, should Brown specifically create plays for him to get touches? Because this is the two things. Is he getting the touches and he's moving the ball based on how they're playing him? And so if that happens, there are going to be games where he doesn't take a lot of shots depending on how they're playing him. Or do you want him to dial up plays to get him in a position when he gets the ball, it's for him to score? So is it touches versus shots? He got 18 shots last night, but I felt like he got a lot more touches as well.
Towns' usage is down on the season too, so his usage percentage is down as well. And so you got, if you're looking at that as well, again, I don't know that there's a perfect solution. To me, I think there are simple things that the offense could do, and when you see Kolek and Towns pick and rolls dominate consistently, like when he's in the game, you wonder, why can't JB do that with?
Because JB is not Kolek. He's not Kolek. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you in terms of how can we get Cat, how can we get Cat more involved? How much of that is Brunson? How can we get him more involved? But again, that's field goal attempts versus touches. But Brunson is not Kolek. Kolek's role when he's in there is to pass. He's not a shooter. He's not tasked with deciding when to shoot, when to pass. He's in there to pass and then take a shot if they dare you. You know what I mean? So yeah, do I think JB and Brunson's Brunson and Cat can have more chemistry? Yes. But when Kolek and Cat is in a pick and roll, the number one option is Cat. When JB and Towns is in the pick and roll, it's 60-40. I think the number one option in Brunson mind is Brunson, and Cat is, and Cat is an afterthought. That's why you see more with Cat Kolek, because he's focused on getting Cat that shot. Should Brunson be more focused on that to the extent of his own game? I guess we have different opinions on that.
Well, it's not an easy thing either. I mean, it's not. I don't know that there's like a black and white solution. I'm just saying that I think for the Knicks to be the best version of themselves, you could see a lot more of what we see in the Kolek cat pick and roll with a Brunson cat pick and roll. And at this point, we don't. That doesn't mean we never will. But I think if you could get, I think the fact that you can't just I think it's an easier to guard a Kolek Towns pick and roll because they know that Towns is the threat, right? How much more deadly is it when you have two players who are elite scorers, right? And so to me, that's where you really put the pressure on the defense to have to make a decision on who to guard. And I don't think that there's, I don't think that there's a good solution to that. And so, that would be my preference and my choice, but that's a matter of opinion to me. And as far as I'm concerned, just get the W, right? I'm nitpicking, I guess, here, but I do think that in order for us to be the best version of ourselves, to compete against the elite of the elite teams, we're going to have to be able to see Towns and Brunson clicking in a way that they are not right now.
Right. And then the other thing off those pick and rolls is that, as Freezy and Sherwood said, there's no roll, it's a pop. So, if Brunson is coming off a screen, do you want to give it to Cat at the top of the key for 3? I mean, you can. I mean, he's a career. He's not shooting it well this year, but he's a career 42% 3-point shooter. Or do you want to get in the lane for 2, or to hit the corner shooter? So all of those options are there. He doesn't have to dial up his number all the time. I do get that.
Well, and that's on Towns too. Towns does not get a pass on this. If he's not rolling to the bucket, that's on him. You could, that's something you can coach. Hey, we need you to not always pop every time. Sometimes you need to go to the bucket and he's going to get it to you with force, and then you can finish. I don't see that as a lot. I think that's a better version of the play than we just give him the ball at the top of the key and he creates off the dribble, and that we see a lot. I think if you could get it with him moving downhill and you just pass him the ball, it's an easy 2 points. So, is it an unwillingness to roll, or is it just not part of what they're doing? I don't know.
I mean, you got to read it too. You got to read the defender too, in terms of whether you're going to pop, right, or whether you're going to roll. If they're in drop coverage, you're going to pop. If they're fighting off the screen and they're really, close on you, then you can roll, so he has to read it, read it as well. All right. I do want to get to the chat.
We've got a couple super chats for sure.
We have a couple of super chats also. It's just that when I go to the chat, we're not coming back. So that's why I just want to shout out a few other people from last night. It was good to see, OG and Bridges, back to doing OG and Bridges things last night. Both of them looked like themselves. Bridges had back to getting stocks. He had if Bridges was on your fantasy team in the beginning of the season, you were smoking with those stocks. Then all of a sudden it dried up. But last night, 15 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 7 of 14. The shots distribution was pretty even last night. So I thought he was good. OG 20 points, only 3 rebounds, 1 steal, 8 of 10 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. Only took 3. It made 2 of them. When he wasn't shooting that well, he was taking like 14 a game, but only 3 last night. He made 2 of them. Both of those guys, looked like themselves. And then Deuce, I don't know if this is sustainable. Like Deuce is just hitting everything he throws up. And only 4 of 11 last night, but it just seems like the contested ones are the ones that fall. If you give him a little space, he might miss it, But I thought Deuce was good last night too. 16 points, 4 assists, 1 rebound, 1 block, no turnovers. He was the defensive player of the game for the Knicks. I'm just running through this, Geoff, and then you can comment on whoever you want to before we go to the chat. Sure. Robinson, 25 minutes, 4 points, 9 rebounds, 5 of them offensive, an assist and 2 blocks. The Knicks out-rebounded them, plus 10 points in the paint, plus 5 second chance points. And last night, the Knicks, it was only 35% of their shots came from 3. instead of 86. So I just thought all around, I'm kidding with the 86%. I just think all around the Knicks were back to how they play, rebounding, second chance points. They even got some points in the paint. Anything I just mentioned before we run to the chat?
Yeah. So I think with Bridges, I think you saw the uptick in the stocks because he's playing more off the ball. He's not being tasked with guarding the point of attack, which is not his strength. And so, McBride took on that responsibility for a good portion of the night, and that allows him more free to roam. Bridges even took a couple turns on Leonard, which surprised me because Leonard is so much bigger and stronger. And, we tend to think of Bridges as not a very physical player. So I was kind of impressed that he took on that challenge. And OG was back to being OG, very much in the passing lanes, very physical on defense, making an impact on that end of the floor. But to me, the cutting and the dunks were the big points in transition were all key for him. Like, I think he had two 3-pointers that and 20 points. That means he was getting in the paint, he was punishing the defense and getting up the floor, and in a way that he hadn't the last 3 games. He was on the back of a milk carton. So really good to see him back in the groove. I think I saw he had the previous 3 games, he had the worst plus minus in the league, like of anybody, which is crazy to think of because when he first got here, he was the plus minus demon. I mean, there was nobody who had a better positive impact on the court than him. So it was really good to just see him back in the flow and back to doing the things that we're used to him doing. And so really good performance all around. And I just very thankful that we finally got off the schneid, and hopefully we just, had a bout of amnesia and now we remember who we are and we take that moving forward into the road trip here.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the chat. We'll start with the super chats and we'll get as much in after that as we can. Paris Doug, I appreciate you always rocking with us. Appreciate the generous contribution. Yabu played hard, but his weight prevents his best athleticism. Deuce was great, but we need to trade him and Mitch at their highest value to get a star type. How many damn stars do the Knicks need? My good, like, to me, I feel like if you're going to do anything between OG and Cat, like having 4 players that command the ball or that want the ball and not happy if they don't get the ball, it seems like, you're going to bring another star in. I'm not a buyer of that. Do the Knicks need some other things? I do. I think they do. But I'm not sure you're bringing in somebody else that commands the ball. Geoff, your thoughts?
I agree with you 100%. I think we like the nice shiny objects. Like I think that's very tempting, and if it's the right shiny object, I can kind of see that. But I don't think we should be chasing that. I think that how the Knicks improve most is probably along the margins somewhere, and just a small tweak at one of the 3 positions of need, whether you consider point guard or a backup small forward or power forward or wing, whatever the case may be. Those are 3 areas of weakness on the team. So whichever one that you can just kind of tweak and use some of maybe that back end depth to kind of bolster that top 9 or 10, then I can see that happening. But I don't think, but again, we haven't seen how this team's going to respond in the playoffs in this iteration, and that makes a difference as well, right? We have to decide what combination of players we want in the next, less than a month to move forward and roll with, because once February 7th comes around, what you have is what you got, right? And so you got to make sure that we're maximizing our chances as we move into the postseason, because there are teams like Detroit who are really, really good.
Yeah, shout out to Paris Doug again. I feel bad, but I got to switch on Cat. I think he's not a championship heart guy. He's skilled enough, but a chip isn't his motive to me. Having fun is. I hear you, but I disagree. Cat was one of our best players in the playoffs last year. One of the best players on the team in the playoffs. So to say that he's not a champion, nobody here is. You're not a championship player until you win the championship, and you know, in my opinion. But if you're talking about championship traits, Cat hasn't shown me anything that makes me think he's not going to be there for the Knicks in the playoffs like he was last year.
100%. I agree with everything you just said right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think we forget that players have bodies of work, you know, and so it's for me anyway. I'm not getting caught up in, you know, a bad stretch, or inferring, you know, he wants to have fun. How do we know that? He's more interested in having fun than winning. Brunson is a selfish player. He's just stat padding. Like, we don't know what these guys' intent is, you know. Sorry, Uncle Freezy, I switched on Cat. It's my gut. I mean, if it's your gut, you know, that's fine. That's fine if it's your gut. Uncle Freezy himself, why would Cat get beat up rolling through the wash when he knows the pass is never coming? I wouldn't roll either. Okay. All right. I mean, where's Mike Brown, though? Like, where's Mike Brown? And last year we talked about this with Thibodeau in terms of, this is what we need, Brunson. We need, you know, pull him aside. Listen, we need Cat to roll more. We need you to hit Cat more. Like, it's almost as if the coaching staff is not, either they're not communicating that to Brunson, or they've decided that they're just gonna let him rock.
And maybe it's a case where they kind of have to figure each other out too, right? Sometimes adjustments don't happen, you know, overnight, and sometimes we get caught up in the moment. Like, and you know, if you're learning to play a new way or a different way, you know, you may not see the results in 40, 50, 60 games even. It may be that it's a process that takes some time, and then we won't recognize it until we actually see it. And hey, he's been working on this the whole time. I'm not saying that's definitely the case, but it's certainly a possibility.
Yeah. Great take debates. Detroit Piston fans rocking with us. I appreciate you. Queen, Geoff, Hawks trying to catch us and everyone. You can argue that the Hawks got better, right? By trading Trae Young, bringing in McCullough. So they're still getting some veteran leadership there. Yeah, you know, let's, you know, let them rack up some wins. We have their pick from 9 on, right?
The Wizards. Yeah, let the Wizards rack up some wins.
Yeah, let the Wizards rack up some wins. Yes, absolutely. Paris Duggan, answer, we have 1 star. We need a star scorer. Yeah.
2 stars? Why? Who is not a star? Towns is not a star all of a sudden? Brunson is not a star all of a sudden? We definitely have 2 stars. Like, I don't understand that comment. Who does? Yeah, he's saying he's out on Cat, and Cat's not a star, but Cat's a 50, 40, 80 big on high volume. What is non-star about that?
Again, he's having a down year efficiency wise, and it seems like, you know, some fans are down on Karl-Anthony Towns. I'm not. I have no qualms, no, what's the word? Cat will be there for us. No doubt that Cat will be there for us in the playoff. None. Absolutely none. Lorenzo gets fit. He can make those shots, but I don't want him to depend on the 3 when he can attack the basket and draw the foul, unless he is open and has a good 3-point night where everything is going on. You know what? I think Cat is trusting his work. I don't think he's looking at his efficiency this season and saying, I need to dial it down. I think he feels that he's the same player. Those are shots that he's made consistently throughout his career, and he feels like it's still in his bag, you know, to take, whether he's hitting them or not. Some of those shots are wide open, though. But, you know, I get it. I get the argument. If you shoot from the logo, it will be. And it's not the logo, you know, but it is like, you know, a foot or so past, you know, the 3-point line, which is well within his range, right? Do you think he's missing because the shots are too long or out of his range?
I don't think the data supports that. I think he's taking the same shots that he took last year. So I don't think that's true. If you can show me stats that say differently, I'll believe you. But just from my understanding, his shot diet is pretty similar to the one that he had last year. And he's not just a scorer; he's an elite rebounder. He's one of the best rebounders in the league. And I think he's probably in rebounds per game. He's probably second. I don't know rebounding percentage. He may not be quite that high, but he's an outstanding rebounder. And take it for what it's worth. But the defensive stats paint him as a much better defensive player than we give him credit for. I don't think that always syncs up with the eye test. I'm willing to grant some that he's not. I wouldn't call him an elite defender, but to say that he's a traffic cone, I don't think is accurate either. I would question his decision making on the defensive end at times, but I think that's true on the offensive end as well. And as far as his offensive fouls are concerned, he's not fouling any more this year than he did last year. Those numbers are right about in line with his career numbers. So I think it's just something that as we become more accustomed to it, we focus on it more, but he's not averaging a foul and a half more per game. He's not, so I think a lot of that is narrative driven and not, statistically driven, but I'm willing to hear the arguments at any rate.
Yeah. David Smith, Cat had 20 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, plus 16, and took over in the fourth quarter. He was unguardable in the fourth quarter. That's a fact. Walter White, Cat is a bully. He takes advantage of weaker matchups, but the team moves better when we run the offense through him. He just has to take care of the little things. Okay, Lady and the Chef. Let me know if another super chat comes up, Geoff. I'm in another folder. I do agree with Geoff. Lady and the Chef, appreciate you. Living her best life traveling. I do agree with Geoff. It would be nice to have a combo of Cat JB or 2 to 3 other guys who can step up on a night in and night out basis. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been some inconsistency, but I think just mostly over that 4-game losing streak. David Smith again. Brunson still has to prove he can share the spotlight and develop chemistry with other stars. Brunson couldn't develop chemistry with Luka, Randall, and so far not Cat either. Luka was the star, so it wasn't on Brunson to develop chemistry with Luka. I don't think Brunson and Randall was a good fit, and Randall was the right one to go of the two. But yeah, I would like to see a bit more chemistry between him and Cat. But the way this offense is being run, and I'm interested in Freezy, how you think about this. The way this offense is being run, is it about chemistry between two players, or is it more about team chemistry in this particular offense in terms of how Mike Brown is running it?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I need to think about that some more. That's outstanding.
I need to think about it too. I need to think about it too. I don't think Jamrock, always appreciate you rocking with us. Been consistent. We appreciate you. I don't think Brunson needs to be colic, but he can't be shot hunting for most of the game. Okay. All right. I hear you. Sherwin, if Cat is moving, Brunson will give him the ball. If Cat is looking for logo shots, I don't want the ball anywhere near him. It's his range, though. It's his range. Blanche Tears, Uncle Freezy, Big Freezy, they should be transition dominant considering Mike Brown's strategy.
But don't you think the absence of Shamet and Hart, the two guys who really get the ball and push up the court, like I think that's if you want to argue their skill sets, they're the two guys on the team who do that more consistent than anyone else. So I think that part of the offense will return more when we see those guys come back. So I think that's. Correct me if I'm wrong, Freezy, but I think that's coming back when those players do, because I think that's Hart especially always seems to, he gets that ball and boom, he wants to attack right away, and then the players follow with him. I don't think that's necessarily Bridges' forte on his own. Like, he'll run the floor, but he's not going to, grab the rebound and just race up the court like Hart does. And I think we saw a lot of that from Shamet this year when he was healthy too. So I think maybe it's a function of two of our guys who do the best at that are kind of out of the lineup, and the guys who are replacing him, that's not necessarily their forte.
Jerrell, our very own, Cat has to be the second option. He needs to be featured more than Bridges. Give Cat the ball, period. All right. JJ, I'm still not sure I trust anyone offensively outside of Brunson. In terms of consistency, like that, game in and game out, no matter what the defense does, he's going to show up for us offensively. I agree with that. Yeah.
That's a reasonable take by JJ. I've got no problem with that.
Yeah. Let me see if there's anything. Okay, let me just see. Anything else? Nick Nation, I appreciate you joining us. Oh boy, y'all going at it in the chat. Cat gets easy rebounds, rarely seems to get physical rebounds or clutch ones.
I disagree with that one, JJ. I think he gets in there and pulls some tough rebounds all the time. I think he got a couple of really, really tough ones last night. I mean, you're averaging 11, 12 rebounds a game. All of them aren't easy. Like, I think I don't buy that one, boss. I can't go with you on that take.
Yeah. Anna Grill 1, Cat's approach and Brunson approach needs serious tweaking. Yesterday was a great way to start going forward. I agree with that. Interesting discord. Brunson rarely passes to bigs off the pick. Mitch is understandable, but Cat isn't. Not keeping the defense honest this way. I think there's more meat on the bone with Robinson when he rolls, that we don't take advantage of. Okay. Delusional Knick Fan Network. Delusional, we miss you, man. Happy New Year to you and yours. When you joining us? Cap do need to pass to Cat more when they pick. Yeah, I agree. Even though Delusional, it's more of a pop. That's for a 3. Because it's not even on the pick and roll when he does get it. He gonna swing it. On that pick and pop, if he gets it, he putting it up. Sherwin, I've seen Cat's body of work. Minnesota benched him in the playoffs for bad defense. That might have been one game or one series. I'm not going to take that and say that that's Cat, his entire body of work, because he went to work against Denver.
Amen. That's a great point.
As well. So let's not just take a game or a series and say we've seen his body of work, his entire body of work. It's a mixed bag. I'm not going to argue with that. It's a mixed bag, but let's talk about both sides of it. All right. Anything else?
Got a big show coming up tonight. You don't want to miss it. Thank everyone for tuning in. And Freezy, hit me up. You said you wanted to visit with me. I'll be happy to. Just go ahead and text me. I can drop my I can drop you my information if I need to, but I think you already have it. I hope you do. Anyway, love to hear from you, brother. Maybe you could even join us tonight. That would be fun. But Delusional going to be on tonight. We're going to learn some stuff. He's going to tell us the ins and outs of what I've been wondering about. I'm pretty excited about that. And Queen, you're the hostess with the mostest. These shows are super fun. The chat, you make it happen too, and these are great experiences. It's good therapy when we lose, and it's great to celebrate when we win. So great job on Wednesday. Now we need to carry that into a tough Phoenix team on Friday. But the good news is Brunson has a habit of going off when he's in Phoenix. I think he's been on fire the last 2 or 3 times he's been there. So hopefully he does that again. So a lot to look forward to with this team.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, we gotta have Delusional and Knick Nation tonight. Oh, man. Maybe I could just host. I don't really have to say much tonight.
It'll be hosting and coasting instead of hosting and toasting.
Right. Oh man, it's a different link for the recap show, Delusional. I'll get that to you. Listen, I appreciate you, Geoff. Of course, I appreciate everybody in the chat. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to, not just create content, but create community, and have you guys be just as much a part of the show as us. You guys have been super helpful, super on point, as far as your takes are concerned, and we try to get to you, as much as possible. If this is your first time in the chat, let us know. Latoria B, hello. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully, you'll come back. But yeah, you guys are a lot of fun. Lady and the Chef joined us today from the other side of the world. Well, Southeast Asia. Appreciate that. And other side of the world. And maybe not. All right. Anyway, and somebody else. The replay gang, of course. Silent listeners, of course. Uncle Freezy was in the house. Means a lot. I appreciate that. Until next time, family. Tonight, actually, 9 p.m. Peace.
Sister, you're one of a kind.
Yes.
Sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Dope soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope soul.
Where you at? Where you at?
Dope soul.
What?
Dope soul.